Hello, hello, hello. In today's episode of the podcast, I'm going to be talking about questions every business leader should ask marketing before approving a marketing budget. Marketing will come to you and they just want you to sign off a budget. You shouldn't just sign it off without asking these important questions. The reason why is because marketing metrics, in some instances, have a lot of vanity metrics. The reason why these metrics are vanity is because they don't align with what the CFO wants. They don't always align with what the commercial and the sales director wants. So before you approve that marketing budget, it's important to ask these questions. In today's episode of the podcast, I'm going to be talking about what a marketing budget is. CEOs, CFOs, and sales people sometimes don't have a deep understanding of how marketing works. So it's important to understand what exactly is a marketing budget. What key questions should you ask as a business leader before you approve any marketing budget? And then I'm going to be talking about the methods of setting a marketing budget. I'm going to be talking about the type of splits of marketing budgets. And then I'm going to actually just talk about what marketing budgets get spent on in the real world. What exactly are these marketing budgets being spent on in your team, so you have a deep understanding of where the money goes? And then I'm going to be talking about how to ask questions about how your marketing team is actually structuring the marketing budget to the purchase stages of the customers. How do they structure the budget for the early stage? How do they structure the budget to retain customers? And how do they structure the budget, if at all they're structuring it for word of mouth marketing, for loyalty, and all those other important stuffs as well? Then I'm going to be talking about attribution modeling, which is a major problem in marketing. And this is a part where it's hidden from the business leaders. You as a business leader need to ask questions about attribution and measurement. And finally, I'm going to be talking about recommendations and next steps, things you can do as a business leader. So what exactly is a marketing budget? It's just basically money that you allocate to your marketing, and you allocate it by channel. You have a budget for SEO, you have a budget for paid search, you have a budget for content, which often gets ignored. You have a budget for analytics, you have a budget for your website. You also have budget for agency fees. And then the good part with the recent development in the marketing space is you normally have a budget for marketing tools and software solution. But with the introduction of some AI tools like Claude and other AI tools, you really can get more from your marketing budget. So what I'm trying to say is tools that you normally would budget thousands of dollars or pounds to, with AI tool, if you have the right marketing team and the right appetite for using AI tools for productivity, for task execution, not necessarily for content production, because that's disaster. So with this, that is what a marketing budget essentially means. So what are the questions a business leader needs to ask? The number one question you need to ask your team is, how much are we spending? And what exactly is the budget supposed to deliver? So if you invest X amount, the question you need to ask them is, what is this going to deliver to us? I'm sure a lot of CEO, CMO ask this question. A lot of CEOs and CFO ask this question, but the question they don't ask in some instances is, how do you measure the effectiveness of our marketing? How exactly can you measure that? So the key questions you need to ask before you approve any marketing budget as a business leader is, find out from your marketing team. You'll be surprised, but find out from your marketing team if they have an actual understanding of the cost per acquisition. How much does it cost to acquire a customer? I've seen situations where the focus is always on just the cost per click. I've seen situations where the marketing team will neglect measuring the cost per acquisition per channel. How much does it cost to get customers organically? How much does it cost to get customers from YouTube video ads, if you're doing YouTube video ads? Because there's a conversation of above the line advertising, television, radio, but some marketing teams will ignore the power of YouTube ads. Are they doing YouTube ads? What kind of ads are they running, and what exactly is the profit margin. Then the conversation gets interesting. When you start asking them, okay, what is the payback period? So how long does it take? You ask your marketing team, and this is a question that often comes from the CFO. And if you're a marketer listening to this podcast, you need to have answers to these questions when you're seeking approval for a marketing budget. How long does it take? First, how much do we have to pay to acquire a new customer? And then you start thinking about the customer lifetime value. How long before this customer, after we get one customer, how long do we have to keep them before they start becoming profitable? If you're getting a customer, say with £200 or $200 to get a customer, how much is the revenue that customer contributes to the business? And how many months do we have to recoup the costs that we use to acquire the customer? And then how much longer do they stay with the business before they start becoming profitable? These are the three important questions and conversations you need to have with your marketing team. I'm going to talk later on about how you split the budgets and other important stuff, but at the top level, you need to ask this question, and your marketing team needs to be able to give you answers to the payback period for every cost per customer, how much it takes to acquire a new customer. The next thing I want to talk about is the method for setting the marketing budget. When you're getting a marketing budget in front of you as a business leader, you need to ask them, okay, is this budget set on results? So what this means is the business leader should ask the marketing team to quantify the expected numbers of customers that they're going to acquire and how much is required to acquire these new customers. Say we have existing customers of 500,000 customers and we're looking to acquire 200,000 more customers. How much do we require to acquire those customers? But you also need to ask your marketing team as a business leader about the customers you have already. How much do we have to invest, or how much do we have to spend to retain those customers? Because it's easy for you to be acquiring customers, and this is a problem in marketing. Acquiring new customers is not a bad thing, but what is the logic if you're acquiring customers and you're losing customers? What I mean is the customers you already have that you're supposed to be retaining, you're losing them, but you're acquiring customers. You see organizations that are losing customers when they benchmark the rate at which they lose their existing customers to the competitors. You're slowly losing market share. So it's important to ask your marketing team that, okay, what model do they have in place to kind of make sure that revenue continuously grow while the customers that you have already remains the same? So this is like setting budget based on results. Then another way where you use another approach of setting marketing budgets, which is very, very popular, is something called zero-based budgeting. This is I'm not a big fan of this, but this is an approach where every 12 months at the beginning of the year, you talk to your marketing team and you you ignore the historic data that you have about marketing in terms of the activities and the results, and you start from afresh. This method of marketing budget is not something I recommend, but it's called zero-based budgeting. And this approach, again, encourages starting your marketing budget from scratch every 12 months. The approach aims to allocate budget without relying on historic spend. It requires more work to execute. So this is something I would not encourage. And there's this part where some marketing teams will set their budget based on what the competition is spending. So they try to use competitors' marketing budget, which is difficult to determine accurately, but they kind of use a kind of assumption that, okay, this is based on the share of voice and the activities. They use different types of tools to try and figure out how much the competitor is spending, and they try and base the marketing budget based on that. So you need to ask your marketing team this question as a CEO, as a CFO, as a marketing leader or a business leader. Are you setting your marketing budget based on results? Are you using zero-based budgeting? And are you setting the marketing budget based on the competition? Because if you have competitors that have a bigger budget, that's a recipe for disaster because you can't really match them. And then you need to ask yourself the question, are you actually spending the marketing budget that you can afford? Because sometimes companies and business leaders are reluctant to actually invest in marketing. And the reason why is because they see marketing as a cost center, not a revenue, a profit, a business growth lever. So this is why you need to ask all your marketing team before you approve any budget this important question. So let's talk about how budgets are sometimes split. If you're not doing zero-based budgeting where you're starting from the scratch, there are different methods that companies use. One of them is called the set marketing budget structure. This is a way where you spend 70% of your marketing budget on proven marketing channels that are already working, and then you spend 20% growing new channels and then 10% on experimentation. This is more theory than practical, but this is another way where you can start thinking about your spending your marketing budget, and you need to ask your marketing team if they're considering structuring the marketing budget that way. Again, as a business leader or CEO, you don't have experience of marketing, but when you start asking these important questions, your marketing team starts thinking strategically. The most important question you need to ask them is how long is the payback period for every marketing investment? Once you ask that question, then you get them all to sit up and actually start thinking from a business outcome and a business output perspective. There is this rule where marketing is split in two. The marketing budget is split in two. You have the brand budget, that's budget allocated to brand, which is the recommendation is 60% of your budget to be allocated to brand, and then 40% should be allocated to performance marketing. This is a way of structuring marketing budget that is recommended by two individuals. They're industry experts. These two are Les Bennett and Peter Field. They recommend that the most effective way to allocate marketing budget is 60% of the budget should go to brand building, and then 40% should go into performance, actual sales activation. This is something that is not very popular, but the best-in-class marketing team think this way when they're structuring their marketing budget. They have a budget for brand. Brand is an investment. It's difficult to measure. Unlike performance marketing, again, this is different for different organizations. Some organization has performance marketing just focused on just paid advertising, while some would have organic within performance marketing. So the goal here is if an organization does not structure or does not allocate anything to brand, in the long run, they would lose out because brand marketing helps build trust from potential customers as well as existing customers. So brand marketing is not just about acquiring new customers, it's also about reinforcing and keeping your existing customers. So if you have a problem where you're losing and churning existing customers, you want to ask the question from your marketing team that, okay, how much of the budget is allocated to brand and performance marketing? So let's talk about where most of marketing budgets get spent. So as a business leader, when you see your marketing budget when you receive your marketing budget from your marketing team, you want to kind of look at the structure and ask the question that, okay, how much of this budget is allocated to staff cost? Because you want to know how much actually you're spending on overheads. How much of that budget are you spending on the tools, the marketing tools? I talked earlier on that the tools get really, really expensive, but you want to find out, okay, how much are you spending on tools? Because you have some marketing tools that are kind of duplicates of other tools. So you want to ask your marketing team to actually drill down and understand, do we need to cut costs and save money on marketing tools? Are there any tools that is overpriced? That's one problem I see with marketing, that you have a lot of tools that are overpriced. And the good thing about AI tools like Claude and other marketing automation tools is some of them will do a better job than the tool that are traditional software solutions. And when I mean traditional software tools like 2-3 years ago, some of them you can actually get more from using AI tool to do that. For example, competitor research, you can use Claude and other AI software solution to do that. That is why it's important that you have a marketing team that embraces using AI. And then how much of the budget is allocated to paid advertising? How much of the budget is allocated to content production? These are the questions you need to ask your marketing team, because if you have a situation where 55% of your marketing budget is allocated to agency fees and staff, that is a huge chunk of your budget. And then you only have like 30% of that allocated to paid search. If you really want to really have an impact, you need to start thinking about your marketing team having T-shaped marketers within your marketing function. What I mean by this, you need to have people that are effective and efficient in and skilled in SEO, CRO, paid search. Those, if you have someone that has those three skills, and that person can then use AI software tools to increase productivity, then you can save a lot of money on your marketing budget from a staff cost perspective. So these are the things you need to be asking your marketing team. You do not need to be a marketing expert to ask this important question. What does your budget structure looks like, and how much are you spending on each of this section? Then you also need to start thinking, as I mentioned earlier on, as a business leader, ask your marketing team the question, how is the marketing budget structured to the customer purchase journey? What this means is, do we have like 80% of the budget that we have for marketing allocated to paid advertising at the top of the funnel, and we literally don't have anything structured for retention and engagement? What I mean by this is, you have huge budget by default allocated to paid advertising and very little budget allocated to content production. Very little budget allocated to organic search. I know organic search is not getting as much in terms of traffic because of the advent of AI search, but still, from a brand perspective, from a brand search perspective, you still need to have a decent amount of budget allocated for that channel. So as a business leader, you need to ask your marketing team to understand, how are they structuring budget to ensure that you're retaining customers. Remember at the beginning of the podcast, I was trying to talk about investing and also thinking about the payback period. If your customers that you acquire through paid advertising stay only long enough to break even, then you've not actually made any profit from those customers. So this is why it's important to ask your marketing team how they've structured the budget for the customer purchase or customer lifetime value, customer funnel. So basically what I'm trying to say here is, how have they structured it to acquisition? How have they structured it to engagement? How have they structured it to conversion? And how have they structured, what is the budget for repeat purchase, if that exists? What is the budget to encourage people to give reviews? What is the budget to encourage people to share content, user-generated content? Those are the kind of questions you need to ask your marketing team before you approve any marketing budget. So let's talk about the major mistakes that business leaders make when approving marketing budgets. Earlier on, I talked about the way you structure your budget for the team, budget for paid search, budget for tools. One thing I've seen in a lot of organizations is you can have two types of teams if you have your marketing in-house. You can have a marketing leader that has a mindset that they have to always rely on agency partners. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with agency partners, but there's a level at which you rely on them. I've seen teams in the past where the bulk of the people in-house are essentially account managers. They just manage the agencies. The agents, they have that mindset that the agencies should do the work and they would just project manage the agency. That is a recipe for disaster because that quickly bloats your marketing team. Having a bloated marketing team is a problem. So as a business leader, you need to be asking the question about your marketing headcount, because you have marketing leaders sometimes who feel that they need to grow their team. They see success and improvement in their career as having a big team, and they pride themselves in, oh, I have a marketing team of 16 people, 20 people. But if you drill down as a business leader, because you don't have an understanding of how marketing works, you can easily make the mistake of not actually asking questions about the increase in headcount. That is a problem that exists. Another problem that exists is the lack of investment in the right tool. I've seen this a lot of times where marketing teams rely heavily on paying for marketing tools through their agencies. What I mean by this is they would rather have the agency manage all the marketing for them, the execution. Some even go as far as handing over the strategy to an agency, which again I find mind-boggling. But the point I'm trying to make here is the cost that you're spending, the excess cost that you're spending, not investing in having internal tools within your marketing and sometimes internal capabilities within your marketing will easily increase your marketing budget. And it's a mistake as a business leader that you shouldn't be approving a budget that you cannot identify the budget for internal marketing tool, but you have a bloated budget for external agencies. Another important question and mistake that senior leaders and business leaders make is not actually asking the marketing team about the attribution that they use. What attribution means is what gets credit for sales. That's just putting it plainly. By default, Google and digital likes to give credit to the last click. What this means is the last channel that someone, or the last platform that someone, a customer, interacts with before buying is the channel that gets the credit. That's the problem where most marketing teams would then fundamentally invest heavily in performance marketing and ignore brand marketing. What I'm trying to say here is you have a situation where page search will give you instant sale, but the sale that you're getting from paid advertising did not start from paid advertising. There is an awareness stage where brand marketing creates awareness about your brand. There is a stage where brand marketing creates a unique positioning with your target audience, and brand marketing helps your target audience be able to differentiate between your product or service and the competition. These are the heavy lifting that gets done by brand marketing. But at the end of the day, performance, Google Ads, paid advertising get all the credit. This is a problem. And for this reason, you need to ask your marketing team, how are they measuring the success of your marketing? Are they using last click? Are they using marketing mix modeling? Are they using media mix modeling? Are they using a model that kind of gives credit across channel? So this is an important question you need to ask, because the kind of measurement that they use will determine the kind of way that they approach your marketing and how they spend the marketing budget. And if they're using just a last click way of measuring success, then that's a recipe for disaster. And once you find out that your marketing is not working, the default that most organizations would take is, oh, we need to cut marketing budget, marketing spend. And if there's any issue in terms of revenue or any financial issue in an organization, marketing is the first place that business leaders always look to. But it's like shooting yourself in the foot, because when you cut marketing budget, you're literally cutting the potential to recover from whatever problem the business is going through. When they decide, and when I say they, business leaders decide to cut brand budget, and because they feel, oh, performance will get us results instantly, you're literally causing problem for the future, because you are reducing the potential of getting new customers. You're reducing the trust that potential customers will have in your brand. So when it comes to that decision-making phase, they will not choose your brand over another brand. So what I'm trying to say here is, when a customer is making a purchase, they would always look at options, and brand marketing will help you be a strong option for them to consider when they are trying to make that final purchase. So what I'm going to end up with here is, you need, as a business leader, you need to make sure that you approve marketing budget based on the correct attribution modeling. You need to make sure that you ask your team if they're investing decent amount in brand awareness, in demand generation. Are they investing in the retention side of marketing? These are the questions that you need to ask. And you also need to make sure that the marketing metrics your marketing team show you as a business leader from last year, before you approve the next round of budget, are marketing metrics that you can actually take to the board of directors. And these are metrics that actually show profitability. The metric should not be focused on revenue, because it's possible to have increased revenue whilst your cost is even increasing exponentially compared to the revenue increase. And in that situation, you're actually running at a loss. You're not making profit. So learn what you can about marketing, but as a business leader, your job is not marketing. Your job is to manage marketing, but you need to be able to ask the right question from your marketing team to do that. And this is where it's important for you to have a growth marketing consultant like myself. You need someone to be on your side to help you navigate and ask the right question. I'm a marketing consultant, and I work with business leaders to help them ask the right questions when they're setting budget. I help them with the recruitment of in-house marketing teams to make sure that they're actually hiring the people that can do the job. And I also help them with the software solution that they use for their marketing. So if you are a small business and you're looking to in-house your marketing team, or you're looking for a coach that would help you and support you and be your advisor, as a business leader, you just need to have a marketing coach, a fractional marketing consultant in your back pocket, someone you can have on speed dial to get a second opinion whilst you're not doing marketing, but you have an internal marketing team. But you need that neutral, unbiased opinion of how your marketing is performing. So if you're looking to create a marketing budget and you need someone to guide you and make sure that you're asking your marketing team the right question, or even asking your agency partners the right question, reach out to me. My name is Femi Olajiga. I'm a growth marketing consultant. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can connect with me. You can DM me a message on social media, and I'll be happy to help you. So remember what I've said. Make sure you are asking the right question. You do not need to be a marketing expert, but when you ask the right question, your marketing team will go out and try and get you the right answers. And that's all you need to make sure that your marketing budget is optimized and you're getting all the result that you need to get. In the next episode of the podcast, I'm going to be talking about how you can ask the right questions for paid advertising, how you can ask the right question for paid social, these channel level questions that you need to also ask, because sometimes you have different budgets. Your SEO budget will be different, your paid search budget will be different. If you're a leader that approves any of these budgets in this business channel, reach out to me. I can help you scrutinize and make sure that the budget is actually structured in the right way, and it is structured for profitability and not just revenue and clicks and other vanity metrics that marketing often measure. My name is Femi Olajiga. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.